Yo, what's up, everyone? Back for this Tuesday slate. We have a full 15 game slate for today, so let's get right into it. You can drop a like and subscribe down below. Currently at like 85 on DraftKings right now, thanks to Suarez went yard twice, Winker went yard, and Yelich went yard, but the pitching was not good. So unless Machado does something, right now we're hanging like right at the end of double ups. We need Machado to do something because Logan Allen is out of the game and he got crushed in his last couple of starts. So Machado does something, we might be able to hang on. Anyway, let's get on to this slate. So, yesterday, obviously, the baseball world was really shaken up, and the Angels organization was shaken up. The family of Tyler Skaggs, just a super tragic passing. Not much you can say about it except I pray for him and his family, and just puts in perspective that we talk about these players all the time. Like DraftKings was just talking about Skaggs the other day when he was facing the A's, about how I wanted to get some righties from the Angels against him, and a couple days later he's gone. So it just shows how short our time really is on the earth, and this is more than just DFS; it's actual life. But anyway, let's get on to this slate. So at pitcher today, there's a couple of really good arms that we have with Trevor Bauer, Corbin. They're the top two by far. You have Nola in Atlanta. We're not getting much of a price discount on Nola. If he was cheaper like he was last start, I would have more interest in him. Or two starts ago when he was only 8,000 and 8,500. I would have more interest against him, but in Atlanta at this price tag, not going to have interest in Nola, especially with Corbin just $400 more expensive than him, and Bauer's just $900 more expensive than him, and we also have Charlie Morton, who's in a much better spot, priced below him. So Nola's not going to be on my list of pitchers today. Same thing with Mike Minor at 10.5. Yesterday, if he was going to pitch, that game obviously got canceled, but if he was going to pitch yesterday, he was probably viable. But at 10.5 with all these other pitchers that we have, not going to have Minor. But my favorite pitcher is going to be Trevor Bauer here. He started to look like himself the last couple starts or in a couple of his last starts, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for here. Just put up a 37-point game against the same Royals team. I love playing Bauer just because he goes very deep into games. And the thing that I like to see about Bauer is that in his last three starts, he's only given up 2 combined walks after he was really struggling the walks earlier this season. And before those last 3 starts, he goes very deep into games. So, unlike most pitchers that sometimes get pulled at like 80 pitches, 85 pitches, 90 pitches, with Trevor Bauer, you're getting like 110 plus every start for the most part, unless he's getting crushed. He has the upside to get you over 120. He's done 120 pitches like 4 times already this season. I love Bauer here at 11.6 facing the Royals. They strike out a bunch. The bottom half of the lineup isn't great, and he's really started to find his form as of late. So he still has a ton of strikeout upside, and I think he'll have a good game here at 11.6. And my next pitcher is gonna go kind of cheap here, and I like 6,900 for Matt Strahm here. Strahm facing the Giants here. It didn't really work it worked the first couple of innings for Logan Allen, but then he got hit pretty hard by the Giants. And I don't think it's going to happen twice in a row, and I think Strahm is a much better pitcher than Logan Allen. Strahm was really good early this season. Then he kind of got into a rough patch. He was good in his last start against the Orioles. With him, you're not going to get like 100 pitches like you do for some other pitchers. He's going to get you like 80 to 90 pitches. I think that can be enough here. His price tag is discounted enough where I think you can have a good game from him, and he does have decent strikeout stuff, and he has shown 20-point upside numerous times this year. So I do like Strahm to pair with Trevor Bauer on this slate. So those are 2 pitchers that I like. If you're looking for even cheaper pitchers, I like going down to I don't mind Joe Musgrove. He's been good as of late. He's still very cheap. Musgrove is much better against righties, and the Cubs have 6 out of their 9 projected hitters are going to be righties. So I don't mind Musgrove as a cheap option. Lopez here, not going to have much interest in him. He's just, I don't think he's good at all. He might have some strikeout upside, but he's going to give up a lot of hits. So I don't think that Detroit might make for a nice cheap stack instead of playing Lopez. And Anderson, you could look at him too, just because he has some upside and he's very cheap and he got a huge price discount. But I think out of this group, Strahm is probably the best option. So starting off at first base, I really like Daniel Murphy here. He's at $4,600. I guess a good matchup here. The Rockies have a 7-run total today, which is really incredible. They're getting to face a pitcher that nobody's ever heard of. I think that's going to be that. I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but the total's been released, so I guess it is going to be this pitcher. Daniel Murphy has started to really come alive. In month of June, he was really hot, and I think he can stay hot in this one. He's a pretty streaky player. I'll show you the numbers for him in June. He really took off. It just felt like if you looked at his batting average a couple weeks ago, it was like in the 250s, 240s. But now he's up to 281. He has a little bit of power. You're not getting a ton of power with him. But I still think he can have a good game here. Man, he's pretty cheap at $4,600, not overly expensive. So we'll see what, All right, let's go to Baseball Reference because this is telling me I've won some prizes that are not real. Daniel Murphy here. He's been really hot as of late. Show you the splits for him. He does hit righties well. Against righties, he's hitting 263. He has some power. He's been hitting lefties well over this season. He's been hitting lefties much better, but if you look at his career numbers, it's much better against righties. And if you look at his June numbers, they are off the charts. 344 batting average in June, 505 slugging percentage. He started to really come alive. And if you look at his career numbers, he's just a really good hitter, and he has been a little better against righties. Well, much better. 305 career average, 478 career slugging. Like him quite a bit here at 4,600. At third base, I like Marwin Gonzalez here. Just way too cheap. 3,300 for Marwin feels like a really good play. He's coming off an injury like a week or couple weeks ago. He hasn't been great, but I think he can. He's gonna start to hit the ball a little better. He was really bad in the first month, and then he kind of took off. It's a decent matchup here. The Marwin Gonzalez hits right in the heart of the lineup for one of the best offenses in baseball, and they are going in Oakland, so it's not a great park to hit in, but they still have a high total here. They have a 5 projected total on Fantasy Labs as of now, and getting a guy that's going to be hitting right in the heart of the lineup makes for a good cash play. This season, he's a switch hitter. He's hit lefties really well. I think the numbers should even out because if you look at his career numbers, they are very similar to both sides of the plate. Against righties, he's hitting 263 career, 414 slugging percentage. And if you look at how he's been hitting the month, after a very bad first month of the season, he's starting to, be like what we've expected out of him. He only batted 167 in the month of April and March. And then he batted 299 in May, and he batted 277 with a 538 slugging in June. So he really showed off his power in June. At 3,300, we're getting a huge price discount. I'll take advantage of him. At shortstop, one of my favorite plays is going to be Didi Gregorius, just because he is insanely cheap here. 3,600. I'm not sure why his price tag is this cheap. He was like 4,200 a couple days ago, and down to 36. It's not like he's in a slump. DraftKings will put his price discount hitters a bunch if they are in a slump, but he's way too good to be at 3,600. He's facing Zach Wheeler, who does give us some power, and he has been pretty bad against lefties. If you look at the advanced numbers, just feel like Didi Gregorius is way too cheap today, and he's been hitting the ball well over the past couple games. He has a lot of power, and he's really flashed that power this season. 3,600 is just incredibly cheap. If you look at some of the other studs that are priced above him and priced below him, he's obviously the best option in that group. Then all of his damage against righties, 365 average. So far this season, 577 slugging percentage. And Zach Wheeler does give up some power, and I think Didi Gregorius is a really good bet just because he's so cheap. So we just show you the numbers for Wheeler this season. He hasn't been great. He has a 4.51 ERA. He does give up some power. He's given up 15 home runs on the season. He's given up a 4.11 slugging to lefties, 3.87 slugging to righties, and He's getting up 105 hits. He does give up a bunch of walks too with 31. I feel like the Yankees have one of the best offenses, if not the best and most scariest lineup in baseball. Didi Gregorius is way too cheap at 36. And another Yankee player that's too cheap is definitely going to be Aaron Judge today. I mean, he continues to be at underpriced massively. 4,300 for him. He is cheaper than guys like Dominic Smith in a lefty-on-lefty matchup. He's cheaper than Malik Smith. He's cheap. He's the same price tag as Jay Bruce. He's the same price tag as Luplow. He's the same price tag as Marisnik, for crying out loud. 4,300 for Aaron Judge is incredibly cheap. He's also just like Didi Gregorius. He's been hot. In London, the 2-game London series, the Yankees offense went off, but they can do that on any given night. They're that good. He was at 5,000 just a couple days ago. Down to 4,300 doesn't make any sense. He should be a mid-5,000 player with the amount of power that he has. And he's career-wise, he's been a little reverse splits. If you look at the numbers for him, career-wise, has a 284 average against righties with a 583 slugging percentage. A pretty massive difference right there. And he's been hitting the ball pretty well as of late, like I just said. So I think even though this is in Citi Field, it's not a good hitting park. Judge obviously has power that can go out in any park. Just feel like he's too cheap at 4,300. So those are 6 players that I like on this slate. Still leaves you with almost 4,000 left to spend for the rest of it. You can drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And talking about some other stacks today, I'm not going to go through each game because it is an incredibly large slate. But I'll look at some other stacks that appeals to me. I think the Rockies are going to be a really top stack today. So if you can fit in the Rocky stacks, they are all looking pretty good. And we have a couple cheap ones from the Rockies, especially like Murphy's pretty cheap. Here, if we're going to look at some Reds, we'll see if anybody can appeal against Chase Anderson. Anderson has been decent as of late, but he does give some power. Like Votto's cheap at 41. I like Votto. I like Jeanette. Suarez really streaky. I like him. And righties have done a lot of damage against Anderson. And I like Yasiel Puig. Got a day off. He's expensive, but should lower his ownership at 4,900. Wade LeBlanc, I think you can play Wade LeBlanc here at 5,800. This Cardinals offense has not been great as of late, and LeBlanc does have some upside. He's coming off a 20-point game against the Brewers. If you are going to look to attack him, I would attack him with guys like Paul Goldschmidt, who's incredibly cheap here at 3,600. And we know Goldschmidt's numbers against lefties speak for themselves, his career numbers. So I like Goldschmidt here at 3,600. I like Yachty at just 33 as a catcher play. Tommy Edman at 32 batting leadoff. Paul DeYoung. Lots of good players to like here. And then Jose Martinez and Harrison Bader are both cheap and both have some power. Especially Jose Martinez, if you look at his numbers against lefties, he has a really high batting average and a high slugging percentage for his career. And besides those couple stacks, I think the Tigers might be a little appealing here against Lopez just because he's not very good. If you look at some Tigers bats, I think you can look at like Dixon has some power. Miggy's only 3,400. Goodrum at 3,800. And the best hitter is going to be Castellanos. I don't mind him. He's pretty cheap too. So I don't mind a couple Tigers. I'm not going to be stacking them, but if you need like a cheap stack, I think they're pretty appealing given the matchup. And then the Padres, I like to attack Beatty with lefties. They don't have that many lefties besides Hosmer. I think you might even want to play Beatty in GPPs. I'm not going to be that much interested in the Padres stack, except for the guys with power that are cheap like Reyes. I like the Twins stack quite a bit. They're pretty cheap as well. The Twins, Marwin Gonzalez is incredibly cheap facing Daniel Magden. I like him. I like Crone at 3,900. Shoop is only 3,500. Jorge Polanco at 4,300. The Twins are a very appealing stack. Same thing with the Indians. They are extremely appealing facing Junis. They are very cheap. They were expensive for the last couple of days when they were in Baltimore, but now the prices are down again. Kipnis at 3,600, I like that. I like Ramirez at 38. Lindor obviously is a great hitter, so you can play him at 46. But the guy that really sticks out is going to be Jake Bauers at 3,300, projected about 6th. He's the guy I had the most interest in just because he's incredibly cheap. On the Mariners, we can attack Jack Flaherty with lefties, and they have quite a bit of lefties and switch hitters. So I think the Mariners might make for a sneaky stack, like Narvaez. I like him. Vogelbach at 4,400. Crawford has been heating up. I like him at 46. Kyle Seager is very cheap. And Malik Smith is cheap. Well, not cheap, but he's at a good price tag, and he has a ton of speed. And I think that might be it for stacks. And I think that's it. So those are the main stacks I'm interested in. As well as the Dodgers. I didn't mention them, but the Dodgers are obviously a great stack against Taylor Clark. All the lefties in particular. So those are some stacks I like in addition to some of these 6 plays, 6 core plays. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And good luck today.